all. Welcome back to my channel. This is Eileen. I am the owner of Veer Up, which is an HR/career consulting company where we provide you with information on how to get a job, how to make your job environment better, as well as HR consulting. So today we're going to talk about toxic bosses. I know it's everywhere, and in 2022, we find ourselves dealing with a lot of hostility, people at work that are just not quite right. And so today I wanted to really talk about ways that you can deal with having a toxic boss, because sometimes you're in a situation and you just can't figure it out. So I'm going to give you some tips to really figure out how to deal with your toxic boss. And again, before we get started, please like this video and please subscribe to my channel and forward it to anyone that you may know, as well as commenting. I would love to hear what other people have to say. So there are 7 things that you really have to do in order to deal with a toxic boss. The first one you're going to have to do is make a decision if you're going to stay or go. This is important because you need to know what is your long-term goal and your short-term goal. Because if you decide that you're going to stay, then you're going to have to find strategies to dealing with your toxic boss. But if you are know in your mind that you're going to leave, then we can put together a short-term plan. And so number 2, you want to do the work and don't be the target. So if you're going to stay, it's important that you avoid being a target, meaning that the victim. You cannot act like you are a victim in the situation because your boss is going to love that if you always play that victim role. So you're going to have to be a fighter. So it doesn't mean that you have to keep your head down and don't say anything when your boss is talking or berating you. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you're going to have to make sure that you don't go toe-to-toe with him. So if he's yelling at you and berating you, you don't do the same. What you're going to do is do your work and give it 100%, but you refuse to be disrespected. So if you have a meeting with him and he's berating you in front of other people, you definitely want to call him out on it, but don't do it in front of other people. You want to do it in a private meeting with him, and you might even want to bring in HR. But I'll be honest, sometimes if you bring in HR, it will backfire on you because he may even go at you harder. But the best way is to let him know that you are not going to be a target and you don't want to be disrespected in any type of meetings or anything like that. And he will actually notice your professionalism, because a lot of people will go toe-to-toe with someone that's yelling and berating them. But if you remain professional, that's something that you are going to get acknowledged for. And the third one, this is so important. Toxic people, not just bosses, but toxic people love to bring other people down. They love to drag other people into their drama. Because I can remember sometimes where I worked at a place and this girl was very, very toxic. She wasn't my boss, but she had the whole office on pins and needles because every day we didn't know who was going to show up to work. And so she and I had lunch one day, and I made a point to never say anything, to set her off or to really tell her anything personal about me that could be used against me. I let her do all the talking. And so it's important that you do not get involved in that drama. And also another thing is politics. I know people say you need to network and politics in your workplace, not if your boss is a toxic boss, because that's only going to backfire on you, to be honest with you. You just want to maintain a safe emotional space and distance between that toxic boss and also toxic employees. And you also want to limit social time with them, going out to lunch or going to happy hours with your toxic boss. That could only be used to be against you later. If maybe you had too much to drink, your boss is going to acknowledge that or use that against you. It's best to maintain a distance between you and your toxic boss. They really shouldn't know too much about you. Maybe they know that you're married, but they don't need to know your spouse's name and where they work and what they do. But just keep that in mind when you're dealing with a toxic boss. Number 4 is really important. don't gossip. In order to keep your sanity at work, you have to remain neutral. You cannot get into a situation where you're talking about the boss, because a lot of toxic people love to talk about non-work related things. And even though if they tell you something or you have a conversation with them, you do not want to get involved in that toxic gossip, because it's only going to come back to hurt you professionally and personally. So like if you have an office party and your boss says something to someone that's off the chain and no one else heard it, that's not something that you need to, talk about. You want to stay away from any type of emotional outbursts or tells coworkers about stuff like that. And it's also important that you use a lot of emotional intelligence. And I probably would do a video about emotional intelligence. That is something that is going to really, really high on your radar, because a lot of people don't realize that toxic bosses typically are, known among the company. But what's so weird is that even though they're toxic and they are a producer, they may be great at what their job is. So, because I can tell you there's a company where the CEO is very toxic, and the things that this person says or have done in the past is mind-blowing. However, this person has brought in over $100 million for this company. But it is important to know that if you go up against someone like your boss, obviously she's there for a reason, they're going to look at who's doing the most producing. So that's why I say, it's important that you keep your emotional intelligence skills up, because it's going to be very important dealing with a toxic boss in the workplace. And number 5, this is really important. So you have to keep a detailed record of anything that has gone on. And the thing is, it's going to be detailed where it's legal, things that you can keep copies of, just to cover your own self. Because a lot of times, dealing with a toxic boss, they will say one thing and do another. So it's important that you have documentation of situation, inappropriate emails, inappropriate conversation, because if it goes down the line where it may have to go to court, they're going to ask you for any type of record. Now keep in mind, you don't want to store them on your work computer. You also don't want to store any employee personal information or client personal information at home. It's only going to be related to the way that your boss treats you. If there's a situation where there's discriminatory behavior, those are things that you want to keep copies of on a separate flash drive or your home computer. And the next one is, it's really important that you do not derail your career. And what I mean by that, this job really won't be your last job. So you just want to do your job really well. And so what if he takes the credit? So what? You know that you did it, and you know that you did a really, really great job. Most toxic bosses typically just want the glory. So if you're an excellent worker, typically they're going to want to keep you around and take all of that recognition. So just don't use it to, like I said, to derail your career. As long as you are doing your job, and at the end of the day, you're the person that knows the information. You're the person that has that knowledge, and no one can ever take away the knowledge from you. So that's why you said you don't want to derail your career. So it's important that you bite your tongue. It also means you may have to redo some work, which is okay as long as you get it right. And even if you don't think you need to get it done, but just do it. Stay low, stay focused. And I'm telling you, eventually it will pay off. You just want to wait the situation out. Either your boss is going to get a promotion if you do really, really well, or someone else is going to, you can transfer it to another department because they can see how great, that you made your boss look. That's the number one thing. All bosses want to look great. And the only way you can do that is doing an excellent job on your projects and your work. And another thing that you can do is, when you have a toxic boss, you can manage up. And a lot of people don't really know what that means, but managing up means that you don't really get involved in the leadership style of this person. All you're going to do is get what it is that you need to do your job. So if you're a person that works in marketing and your boss needs to approve like an account or something, or that's how you need them to do. You don't need anything else, but that's how managing up is. You set dates, you set deadlines, you set times, and meet with your boss to get what it is that you need. And that's another way how not to derail your career. And the final thing you want to do is remember, it is not forever. Many toxic leaders, the lure of more power, prestige, and control will make them a primary candidate for promotion within the company. So they typically will move on, or they'll get another job. So you just want to focus on developing your skills during this time and networking. Networking. I'm going to say that again, but that is the key during this difficult time if you're going to stay. And so I know that it seems really hard, but you're not alone. If you're wondering why organizations tolerate toxic bosses, that's the reason why, like I said before, it's because they're high achievers and they're making the company a lot of money. And I know that that's not a good answer, and I know that's not going to help in your situation, but it will help you to know what the bottom line is and how to deal with it and how to navigate, because you're going to deal with it. And the most that you can do is put in a request for HR to kind of step in. But again, sometimes that can backfire. So like I said, this is not going to be your last job. You can deal with it for now and just focus on moving up in the company. And so one of the things that you want to add is that when you're interviewing for a job, there are so many key things that you can find out with the person that's going to be a supervisor. So when you're interviewing, it's important that you find out who your boss is and why the position is open. And then also, a good way is if your boss is going to interview you during the interview process, you can find out, is this person a toxic boss, by asking them what is their leadership style, how do they like to manage, questions about how do they get things done and what would employees say about them. You are going to get a lot of information during the interviewing process. So that's one way that you can kind of find out what type of boss you're going to have before you even get into a new job, if you find out if they're toxic or not. And then also another good way to do that is to go out on LinkedIn. LinkedIn will tell you so many different things about people. These are things that I feel like will help anyone that has a toxic boss. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. Please like my video, subscribe to my channel. Until next time, I will see you later. Bye.